All right. Hey, speaking of which, we're going to double up on knowledge and wisdom here, folks. We got Jim Watt, Rebecca Walser with us. All right, so here's the thing I find intriguing. We're seeing so many creative ways to blame the supply chain disruption. So we don't have refrigerators, right? Then we're hearing a bang for advertisers killing orders because if they advertise and somebody wants something, you can't deliver it anyway. Rebecca, here's the thing. How long do you think this will last? And what should be the lessons we learn, not just as individual companies, but as a nation that's so reliant on globalism and a supply chain that has disrupted our lives more than the COVID-19 has?
You're absolutely right, Charles. And, Treasury Secretary Pete Buttigieg said this past weekend that he expects us to continue for the long haul. So that was not very encouraging at all. It's a shame that we didn't really leverage the Trump trade war to really have less reliance on global supply chains and have a little bit more reliance on America. But really, it's the protocols, Charles. These protocols are outrageous. You had one positive asymptomatic case in China, and they shut down the world's third largest port. You have ships off the coast of California, 100 right now. In September, we had 16 truckloads for every one trucker that was actually taking truckloads out. So what you've got is the American people revolting too on these vaccine mandates. I heard yesterday at the CNN town hall with President Biden that it was basically 1 out of 3 emergency responders saying, no, I'm going to quit my job. And so this administration needs to wake up and say, people are rejecting that mandate and they'll lose their job over it. And we need the workers.
By the way, when Pete Buttigieg said something about the long haul, there was no pun intended, right? Hey, Jim, let me pick up on that, on the workers' strike part of this, because that's also hurting everyone from rails to delivery companies to home builders. And I thought that higher wages would have solved that problem. What's going on there?
Well, they just started going up, and they haven't gone up long enough and large enough to offset the huge cost of living increases that these workers are finding. You wonder whether if real incomes are even growing. And you see it in consumer sentiment numbers. You see it in the ratings for the president. Wages have to go up more for longer before the worker is whole. But it'll happen with time.
Rebecca, speaking of the administration, lots of rumors now swirling out of Washington, D.C. about the budget. It looks like they're now zeroing in on personal assets and unrealized gains. You're a tax expert. What do people, it's sort of premature, but you kind of see with the writing on the wall. What can someone do to protect themselves? What do you do if someone taxes an unrealized gain?
Yeah, this is extremely alarming as a tax attorney, I'll tell you. So you've got Oregon Senator Wyden basically proposing a mark-to-market with derivatives and carried interest. And so they say, and they couch it as this is just targeted to the super rich. But Charles, let's get real. We know it's really coming. They're really looking for a mark-to-market for capital gains. And that will affect all Americans that have brokerage accounts, which are millions and millions of Americans. And we also know that they're really pushing capital gains to a 40%. And again, they start with the super rich, but it really trickles down. If you just look at the history of tax code, you will see that exactly is the case over history and over time. And so we need to really recognize this. The other thing they're doing is this, automatic reporting of the 400 million bank accounts of Americans. And so where are we headed here? This is totalitarian. It's communistic. It's not a republic. It's not a democracy. And it's not a free people. If we're automatically reporting to the government everything that we're doing, then we're not free. We're just, we're controlled.
Now, Jim, there is part of this I think is good news, and it looks like because of Senator Sinema, corporate tax hikes are off the table. What does that mean for the market?
Well, on balance, on the surface, you'd say if they don't raise corporate taxes, that's a good thing for profits and for the market. But I'm afraid they're going to make up for it in ways that make no economic sense. Taxing unrealized capital gains is a complete distortion of a capitalist economy. You can only take capital gains taxes up so far before you really start to dislocate the economics of the economy. So I'm sort of afraid that in a last-minute pitch to get this deal done, they're going to do things that are economically unsound. So I personally would rather see a slight increase in the corporate rate. It's much more simple and easy to deal with.
Or nothing. How about none of the above? Real quick, Jim, I got less than a minute to go.
Well,
you're always as cool as the other side of the pillow, and I appreciate it. I love bringing in when the market's under fire. You helped us out a lot a couple of weeks ago. So there's one thing not to panic. You always tell us that. There's another thing to being the outperformers. What do you see the best opportunities right now?
Okay, well, first of all, I think you continue to buy the dip. As Jamie Dimon and Brian Moynihan said, we can live with higher growth, higher inflation, and higher interest rates as long as the economy is growing. And I think that the market is over-fearing how much the Fed is going to have to raise rates because this inflation is episodic, not going back to something like the 1970s. So I think some of the quality growth stocks like Apple and Microsoft, the medium growers at sensible PEs that can control their margins and that can grow in all sorts of types of economies, you're getting an opportunity as people have a scare on interest rates.
All right, Jim, Rebecca, thank you both very much. Have a great weekend. I appreciate you both.